Today I'm going to be sharing various little tips and tricks that have helped me over time in my baking. First of all, let's start off with some mixing techniques. I have found when you're just stirring normally that rather than holding the spoon like this, which would seem quite natural, it actually works a lot better to hold it like this. For one, it gives a lot more power and it doesn't tire your arm out half as fast, so you can get more power while you're stirring. Next, when you're creaming something, like say you're creaming butter and sugar together, or you're whipping egg whites, or really anything that you just needs to be thoroughly mixed together, I found that using a handheld mixer works the best. You can move the bowl and the mixer around to get to hard to reach places. Thirdly, when you're mixing any dry ingredient, like let's say flour or cocoa powder or powdered sugar, when you're mixing any of those or anything that might puff out of the bowl into a wet batter, I suggest that you stir the batter together with a spoon or a fork first before using an electric mixer or anything that would make it fly all over the kitchen. Next, let's talk about some testing doneness techniques. So when you're testing doneness for cakes or sheet cakes or bundt cakes or bars, I found that using a toothpick, just sticking it in the center of the cake actually works best, or the feeling. So when you do a toothpick, make sure to stick it in the very center of the cake because the edges will cook a lot faster, so you won't be able to tell from there. But if you stick the toothpick in the center of the cake, then you can tell. If you pull it out and it has some crumbs in it, say if they're dry crumbs, that doesn't matter, that should be done. But if it come out and they look wet, or if it really has a lot of dough in it, then it needs to go back in the oven. You can also just feel the very center or around the whole cake. And if it goes in at all, or if it feels wet or it looks wet, then it means it's not done yet. It needs a few more minutes, say 2 to 3 more minutes, and then check it and feel it again and test it with the toothpick again. And then for cupcakes and muffins, testing doneness for those. These are really important because when they come out of the oven, they can sometimes look really puffed up and they're all beautiful and puffy. But then if they're not cooked and you take them out, then they might sink in, which can look really bad. So how you avoid that is you use toothpick again or feeling. And lastly, for cookies, when you're testing cookies, you don't use a toothpick because they're so thin that they don't need to be cooked thoroughly through, they just need to be harder on the outside. So for a fully done cookie, you just feel it and you look at it, really look at it hard and see if it looks wet or if it looks like it's not rising a lot or if it feels soft or anything. It should be lightly golden brown around the edges and the center should be firm. And now a few tips for just general baking. So when you're mixing doughs together, do not overmix. The way to avoid this is really just by investigating the batter. So if you're mixing something together with an electric mixer or a whisk or anything, you really just need to focus on the batter, watch it, and when it shows signs of coming all together, when the dough comes all together and it looks thoroughly mixed, then stop right there. Don't go over mixing or things can go really wrong. Over mixing really changes the final turnout. It can really ruin desserts if you over mix. Then let's say you're rolling out balls of anything or you're pressing something out. It really helps if you wash your hands in cold water first, because then the dough won't stick to you and the balls will be a lot nicer. If you're putting something in the oven, like a cake or a pie that is really liquidy in the pan, setting it straight in the oven, just holding the sides, really could spill it and it could go into the oven and that would make a really big mess. So I suggest that you put the pan on a tray, a big cookie sheet or a tray that can go in the oven, and then gently slide it onto the bars. That will work a lot better and it won't spill. And if it does spill, it will just go onto the pan, which won't be half as bad as going into the oven, which can be a lot harder to clean. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe to my channel and come back soon to see my next video.